There are so many fantastic quests tucked away in the Events tab in Monster Hunter World. These were previously limited time events that are now permanently available since the game has finished. I've already done tons of roundups which help you navigate which ones are best to focus on. If you haven't already caught those, there is something there for everyone, but today I want to focus specifically on events that will get you some really powerful gear. Spanning across every rank, however, the majority will be focused in MR. I'm Lighted Up Dan. The sort of content I love to produce aims to reduce the overwhelm and unknown of the Monster Hunter games. A massive thank you for really turning up and getting us to around 80% of unsubscribed viewers on the channel, with the majority of you returning from shorts or otherwise. If you enjoy the videos, do subscribe. I'm aiming to get that down to 50%, and with that said, let's jump in. USJ Gold Star Treatment is an HR quest against 3 great Jagresses in the arena. There's a massive one, a normal sized one, and an absolutely tiny little squirt. Even if you're at this current rank, it's not going to be difficult. Their HP totals are small, and the monster itself is very simple. Just stay to the side of it whilst you're facing its front, and bonk them till they are no more. After toppling the 3 great Jagress Musketeers, you'll be rewarded with some Azure Star Shards. Using these and a bunch of other materials, you'll be able to craft the Azure Star Blade, a rarity 3 longsword with water elemental and really good affinity. If you use longsword, this is a fantastic choice early game and has 2 further upgrades as you're increasing through the ranks, so you might as well get it done. Every hunter's dream is an HR 8 event against a Paolumu and a Rathalos in the arena. Again, you shouldn't really struggle here. It's pretty straightforward even if you are actually at this rank. The Paolumu and the Rathalos will be at opposite ends of the arena, so you can just focus on the Paolumu without aggroing the Wrath. You can make use of the ledge, the slope, and the climbable walls if you're struggling to get any of the monsters that are flying. Paolumu only really brings straight up raw damage, but with Rathalos you have to be careful about the fire and the poison talons as well. After clipping these flying rats' wings, you'll be rewarded with Master Craftsman's blueprints, alongside some other materials, all of which should drop from the quest itself, including the Dragonite, or if I'm not mistaken, you can craft the fantastic Wyvern Ignition Steel, one of the most gorgeous weapon designs in the game, and a phenomenal greatsword for when you can get access to it. You should be able to craft it and get the first upgrade by running this event. Even if you're not going to use it, you'll need to do this if you want to unlock it as a layered weapon for later. Code Red is the HR 14 Devil May Cry collab event in the arena, pitting you against an Anjanath, Odogaron, Rathalos, and Teostra one after another. This one isn't a walk in the park if you are actually at this rank. However, rest assured, as with all multi-monster quests, their HP totals are massively diminished, making them pretty quick to deal with one after another. And it is facing off against one at a time, so you're not going to be getting swamped by 4 different monsters. Focus damage out on the head, maybe bring a cleanser booster to deal with all the fire blight and poison from the Rathalos, and blast from the Teostra, and bleed from the Odogaron. You'll be fine. Once you flip the switch from Code Red to Code Dead, you'll be rewarded with some red orbs. These, alongside a variety of the parts of monsters that you just fought, will allow you to craft the Dante armor set. A really good set in its own right, with weakness exploit, evade window, and even some critical eye. And you'll need to run this to have access to it as a layered later on. The boots with 2 weakness exploit and 2 level 1 gem slots are of particular note. Oh boy, I'm about to make a name for myself here. Yeah, that's right, you can make Dante's Devil Sword as a charge blade, which is exceptionally cool. It's great for when you get it in the game, and it can also be upgraded further into a master rank version. Worth doing the quest to unlock it as a layered later on, if nothing else. USJ Blazing Azure Stars is an HR 13 event up against a Dodogama and an Azure Rathalos in Elder's Recess. Another one of these super fun events where the monsters are absolutely comically sized. Everyone's favorite punchbag Dodogama is a massive, gigantic version, making it pretty hard to miss. We stan a giant Dodogama target. You can use the falling boulders in Area 8 to get some topples and additional damage, otherwise focus out your damage on the head and just be mindful of its long-range blast attacks. You shouldn't really have any troubles, it's not a particularly difficult monster. The Azure Rathalos is a tiny miniature version. It can be a bit annoying to connect your attacks because of that, especially when it's hovering around and you're just out of range, but it also means it's fairly easy to avoid its attacks for the most part. But it is a goddamn menace. Watch out it doesn't burn you to a crisp. Try to have some sort of counter for when it's hovering, and you should be fine. After completing your sworn duty to slay any Dodogama you meet, you'll be rewarded with Azure Star Gems. With these and a variety of monster materials from the quest, you'll be able to craft the fantastic Azure Star-Lord armor, as well as looking absolutely sick. It has the Rathalos Mastery set bonuses, allowing you to get access to critical element and Mind's Eye ice/ballistics. A great option for you at this rank, featuring agitator, not 5 levels of it, that's my charm, recovery up, handicraft, and critical boost. And you'll need to do it in the first instance in order to unlock it as a layered later on. That's off the top of my head. It's one of the MRUSJ quests you need to actually do to craft it. It's worth doing anyway. The Azure Star Gem is also one of the components you will need in order to do the second upgrade of the Azure Star Longsword. 50 Shades of White is an MR7 event pitting you up against the Barioth in the arena. This monster is a very common wall for players in Master Rank. It's super aggressive, jumps all over the place, making it hard to pin down, has really big reach with a bunch of its attacks with its tail and its ice blast. It can be a bit of a nightmare at first. When it comes to dealing with Barioth and even the Frostfang Barioth variant, heartbreaks are your friend. Not only can you get these big damage windows with topples if you do it at certain times, but by breaking one or both of its arms, it'll trip every single time it leaps across the arena, allowing you to slow the fight right down, transforming the rest of the battle very much so in your favor. With the Frostfang Barioth variant, you're able to get 2 part breaks on the head, breaking both teeth one after another, which in addition to giving you these additional windows, actually lowers the efficacy of its ice attacks. I'm not quite sure if that's the case with the regular Barioth as we have over here, but it's still worth pursuing either way. Make use of the ledge, the climbable walls, and even the slope depending on which weapon you use. I get a lot of utility out of all of these when I'm taking my hammer out, for example. Keep the head and arms tenderized if you can, and go for wall bangs whenever the monster's not enraged. And then once you're done turning your pants 50 shades of brown, you'll be rewarded with fest tickets. With this and other materials which will all drop during the event itself, you'll be able to craft any of the 14 weapons as the Guild Palace weapons. These are excellent when you get access to them in early MR and early Iceborne, with good raw, white sharpness, 10% affinity, a level 3 gem slot, and a plus 30 defense bonus. They also come with a chunk of hidden water elemental and are able to be upgraded if you do some arena quests. I highly recommend against this though, it's just not really worth it. They also are some of the sickest looking pieces of gear in the game. I mean, goddamn, look at these things. Highly functional and very aesthetically pleasing. Just how I like my women. Every Hunter's Dream 3 is an MR9 event pitting you up against a Nightshade Paolumu and a Naga Cougar in the arena. Another multi-monster quest means they've got lower HP, and in this case both monsters are present at the same time. Nightshade Paolumu's sleep clouds are extremely dangerous. I would highly recommend coming in with 3 sleep resist, or at the very least a cleanser booster. You can set the Nightshade on the Naga Cougar and get it to put it to sleep, or keep them separated using the barrier in the arena. If you do take 3 sleep resist, it'll effectively just turn the Nightshade Paolumu into a regular Paolumu. Easy enough, nothing really to worry about. Just boop it on the snoot. Naga Cougar can be quite a bit trickier. You gotta watch out for those bleeds, the big tail slams, and its high mobility as it leaps around the stage. With your cleanser booster or some Astera jerkies, you'll have no problem dealing with the bleed. You can even crouch down and manually get rid of it if you want to. When Naga Cougar does slam its tail in the ground, you have big damage windows as it gets stuck there for a moment. Use the arena to your advantage with the ledge, the slopes, and the climbable walls, tenderizing the head, focusing out your damage there, and going for wall bangs whenever the monsters aren't enraged. Once you're done bleeding out in your sleep, you'll be rewarded with Black Eagle blueprints. These, alongside some monster parts you get from the quest itself, will allow you to craft the gorgeous Black Eagle charge blade. Rarity 10 with unfortunately low raw, some purple and a lot of white sharpness with 10% affinity and a chunk of thunder elemental as well, plus 2 level 1 gem slots and its power element file. Holy skibbity riz, this thing looks sick. Black Eagle understood the assignment. It ate and left no crumbs. Damn, I'm so down with Gen Z. Without a doubt, one of the most stunning weapons in the game. It is so beautiful. It can be quite easily upgraded as well, bringing it up to rarity 12. With better raw, it's still pretty low, a huge chunk of purple sharpness, and some more thunder elemental as well. This one's more fashion over function, not gonna lie. But hey, getting it unlocked as a layered is fantastic too. This is also one of the components you're going to need to get the final upgrade on the Wyvern Ignition. Another one that at this point is going to be better as a layered. USJ Shine On Forever is an MR18 event against Velkhana at the Celiana supply cache. A fun stage to fight in, giving you access to various cool things like the roaming Flaming Ballista, some cannons, and even the Dragon Razor. Velkhana is very vulnerable to damage against the head, be it blunt or otherwise, with repeated damage to the weak point netting you part breaks and topples and staggers. It'll just keep going down. Take advantage of the ledge to get any aerial attacks out with your weapons, and hopefully get a mount or two out of that as well. With Evade Window 5, many of Velkhana's attacks can be twisted against it, giving you consistent large damage window opportunities. Tenderize your head, watch the ground to see where the ice attacks are going to come from, maybe take 20 ice resist or 3 blight resistance to not get ice blighted. I purposely like to for my coalescence, and high Elder Seal to get Velkhana to drop her ice armor can be very useful as well. Once you're done chilling out with Dragon Elsa, you'll be rewarded with Azure Era Seals. This and other monster parts you will get from running the event will allow you to craft the Azure Era Soaring Dragon Bow, a really fantastic weapon with good raw, 30% affinity, a chunk of water elemental, and a level 4 gem slot, with access to nearly all of the coatings minus paralysis. This is a really fantastic choice and can be upgraded further into a very powerful Rarity 12 version, with more raw, significantly more water elemental, and another level 4 gem slot, making it a phenomenal bow, goddamn. You'll need the large Azure Era gem to do this upgrade, which drops from the next event. USJ Ballet of Frost is an MR18 event in Hoarfrost Reach, pitting you up against a Frostfang Barioth. You'll want to start at Central Camp 7 if you got it unlocked, as the monster's nest is just around the corner, but Camp 15 isn't far from it either. Frostfang Barioth is a variant of the regular Barioth in that it has more icy attacks. It will root you in place with its ice, followed up by dive bombs. These are really tricky to avoid, I end up getting caught in them a lot, but if you do keep an eye out for the patterns, you'll be able to better avoid them. There's the semicircle blast in front of it, the 2 lines in a V formation, and the aerial ice blast route it does as well. It also does its ice blast attack more regularly, and that hits even harder. The strategies for regular Barioth do apply for Frostfang. By getting one or both breaks on the arms, the monster will trip every single time it leaps across the stage. This really slows down the fight and gives you the much needed breathing room to deal with it. You can also get multiple head breaks on the Frostfang Barioth, which you can visibly see by how many of its front saber teeth it has left, as well as part breaks providing additional damage window opportunities. With Frostfang, it actually lowers the efficacy of its ice attacks, decreasing the amount of time you're rooted in the ice and lowering the damage from the ice blast attacks. Getting both head breaks will really help lower the danger levels of the fight. Tenderize, part breaks, wall bangs, and ice blight immunity if you need it, and you'll be grand. Once you've finished your performance and have warmed up your tippy toes, you'll be rewarded with large Azure Era gems. With these and various other monster parts, including Velkhana, so you will have to go outside of this event, you can craft the phenomenal Azure Age Alpha Plus armor set. This thing is crazy good. It has the cap defense of 850 unupgraded, fantastic elemental resistances, always a nice to have, and Silver Rathalos essence giving you access to true critical element at 4 set pieces. With 3 weakness exploit, 3 focus, and 4 constitution baked in, this thing is really cool. It's also got slinger capacity boost and some water attack as well. Ignore the agitator, that's from my charm. Making this as soon as you can will make the rest of Iceborne an absolute doozy for you, and will really set you up moving into the end game. As previously mentioned, the large Azure Era gem is also used for the final bow upgrade, and is required for the final Azure Star longsword upgrade too, improving its raw damage, its sharpness, water elemental, and giving it 2 level 4 gem slots as well. Again, this sword ends up being really goddamn good. Both the bow and the sword here. A chilling entrance is an MR20 event in the Ancient Forest against Blackveil Valhazak, followed by Velkhana one after another. Make sure you take 3 miasma resist for Blackveil Valhazak, who should show up near the top of the map. After the fight, you can always return to camp, take it off, and go back to your regular loadout. If you're anything like me, you're not particularly great at dealing with this monster. A lot of its attacks have got a big AoE and are very hard to avoid, making it really hard to be in front of it dealing damage to the head. The majority of my time doing this quest gets taken up with the Black Veil. Pay attention to the spore sacs on the monster. They will bulge out, and if they get too big, it'll do its supernova special attack, which is pretty bad news. You kind of want to avoid it. Repeatedly bonk them with your weapon until they settle down. If you can position yourself to effectively avoid the miasma beams and the miasma breath attacks, you will have a much better time than I have. If you can't get the 3 miasma resist, make sure you've got lots of null berries and you've got a cleanser booster preferably. High Elder Seal will help get rid of its aura, which for Blackveil I think is the miasma aura, and if you deal any fire damage, including with torch pods, you're able to burn away the miasma dust clouds. A short while after defeating it, Velkhana will show up. Same strategy applies as when we were facing it in the other event. Focus out damage on the head where possible, get them part breaks, topples, and knockouts, high Elder Seal to get rid of its ice aura, ice blight immunity if you want it, I prefer to receive it and then get rid of it for coalescence, and all of the usuals you can apply for every single monster. Use the level to your advantage with ledges, slopes, climbable walls, tenderize the head where possible, and go for wall bangs whenever the monster isn't enraged. Once you're done disrespecting your elders, you'll be rewarded with sealed dragon cloths. One of these and other components you can get from the event will allow you to craft the sealed dragon cloth Alpha Plus head armor. A fantastic piece of gear with 2 level 4 gem slots, decent defense not the best, balanced elemental resistances with solid dragon elemental, and 1 level of resentment. But oh my goodness, does this thing look sick. The drip is fresh. The scarf is serving attack on Titan energy, perfect for completing your Mikasa cosplay. If it's not as good as your current head armor, it does also have a layered version too. The Last White Knight is an MR24 event pitting you up against a tempered Frostfang Barioth in Hoarfrost Reach. Once more starting at Central Camp 7 as its nest is just round the corner. We already tackled a Frostfang Barioth for USJ Ballet of Frost, so this is just the exact same thing but it's a tempered version, so it hits a little harder and it's got some more HP. By breaking one or both of its front wings, it'll trip every single time it leaps across the stage, giving you so much extra time to breathe and deal with this monster. Each head break reduces the efficacy of its ice attacks, so you won't be rooted for as long, and the ice blast will deal less damage. Focus the damage out on the head and 2 wings, keep them tenderized, go for wall bangs when it's not enraged, and you will be victorious against the tier 3 sub-simp. For your efforts, you'll be rewarded with a Frostfang ticket, which alongside mats you'll get from the event, you can use to craft the Frostfang Barioth armor set. Decent defenses, not the top but still very good, a spread of elemental resistances were neither here nor thereabouts, and the Frostfang Absolute Art set bonus skills giving you Punishing Draw with 1 piece and Slugger Secret with 3 pieces. Baked into the set is 4 attack boost, 4 critical eye, and 1 quick sheath, with 2 level 4 gem slots on the braces and on the boots. Very good armor. You can also craft any of the 14 weapons, as Direct crafts using the tickets and materials you get from the event. Big raw, a bit of purple sharpness and a large chunk of white, some more than others on different weapons, 15% affinity, and a huge amount of ice elemental. So much bang for your buck, can very easily be a breakthrough weapon depending on what you had before, and will also in one swift go make you Alatreon ready. I'll link the full video if you want to get further details on this event. Monkey Business is an MR24 event in Hoarfrost Reach against a furious Rajing. You should find him in the central area of the map by the hot springs. This thing is no joke and might really present quite a wall to you depending on what you've been used to up until this point. It hits hard, it hits fast, it is absolutely unrelenting, and appears to have 0 openings. It has anti-clutch claw mechanics, where it'll grab you off its back and Hulk smash you into the ground Loki style. So yeah, it's kind of rough. Taking 1 tremor resist will give you full immunity to all of its tremors. If you don't already take it as a standard, I highly recommend you take 3 stun resist, especially with the thunder blights you'll get afflicted with, and it does have openings, it's just immediately after its attacks. You'll have to get used to them and study the monster a bunch, but you're able to punish the Kamehameha mouth beam, the jumping lightning orbs from its mouth, the trails of lightning strikes on the ground, and various other attacks as well. There's no tail to aim for like regular Rajing to knock it out of its furious mode, it's always furious. Instead, you'll want to aim your attacks out on its head and try to avoid its arms where you'll bounce off, particularly when it's super enraged and they're glowing red. Once you're done coming to terms with the fact that Frieza had a point, you'll be rewarded with your furious Rajing parts. It has the maximum amount of unupgraded defense, 850, a good spread of elemental resistances other than the horrible ice defense, and the Rajing will set bonus skills of Maximum Might Secret and Heroic Secret. Not just that, but a fantastic spread of skills too, with 5 Maximum Might, 3 earplugs, 3 health boosts just baked in, 2 Stamina Surge, and 1 Heroics. The legs get a particular mention with the 2 level 4 gem slots and the 3 health boost baked in. The weapons are absolutely insane, some of the very best in the game. Rarity 12 with big raw, healthy purple and white sharpness, 15% affinity, and a chunk of thunder elemental as well. With some of the most unique weapon designs too, these things look absolutely insane. Even just compared to the Frostfang Barioth weapons, these are a breakthrough in their own right. They're so strong. I'll link the full video if you want to explore this event in further detail. Achy Breaky Heart is an MR24 optional quest against Raging Brachydios in a quest instance resistance of the Guiding Lands. You must have And My Rage for All special assignment completed in order to unlock this. It's effectively the repeatable version of that. Start at first Western Camp 1, as Raging Brachy will be over to the left in the forest region. Do yourself an enormous favor and take 3 blast resistance, otherwise you're going to have to constantly be using null berries, running into cleanser boosters, and rolling off your blast blight. This ginormous variant of Brachydios is extremely powerful and very dangerous. Its massive size is actually fixed, so every time you come out to this optional, it'll always be this big. It splatters slime all over the place with its attacks, which will explode moments later. When the parts it uses to attack the slime all over the place start glowing red, that's when the slime has transformed into Flashpoint Slime, a much more dangerous, nearly instantly exploding for higher damage version of it. You can remove the Flashpoint Slime, which will fall to the ground and explode, so be careful, by attacking the glowing parts. Just raw damage is fine. You can also use puddle pods and other pods to remove it. When it enrages, all parts will upgrade to Flashpoint Slime, so be mindful of that. And if all 4 are left for too long, the monster will unlock some devastating attacks, so do be sure to keep on top of it. Raging Brachy is most dangerous when it creates distance, which it will constantly try to do. So hug the monster, stay by its legs, and chip away damage at its arms, legs, and any opportunities you've got elsewhere. Breaking parts will prevent it from reapplying Flashpoint Slime to them, making this a very important part of your strategy. When its HP reaches a certain threshold, I think it's about 25 or 30%, it'll head over to the final area where you get boxed in, throw a temper tantrum, and its mechanics will change slightly here. It will constantly be spreading slime all over the place. This now has a fire damage over time and doesn't explode instantly or after a few seconds. After it's spread a bunch all over the place, it will let out a piercing roar and explode all of the slime at the same time. This is absolutely devastating. You can take earplugs 5 or just be mindful of where you're stepping and hope for the best. Once you're done getting bukakied worse than a plasterer's radio, you'll be rewarded with your Raging Brachy parts. You're really hoping for some immortal reactors here, as you're going to need them for various pieces. Using those parts, you can craft the Raging Brachy Beta Plus set, which comes in at max unupgraded 850 defense, a spread of elemental resistances, good fire but we're not too keen on that ice or water, and incredible set bonuses of Agitator Secret and Artillery Secret. It has 7 levels of Agitator baked in and all 3 levels of Weakness Exploit. Absolutely insane. This is super strong. We all know how fantastic Agitator is in Iceborne due to the Clutch Claw mechanics, and the monster being enraged for like 90% of the fight. The fact that you're getting access to Agitator Secret here pre-Fatalis gear is huge. This is some of the very best armor you can use pre-Fatalis. The alpha set has 5 levels of artillery baked in, which you might be interested in as well. These weapons are something else. Absolutely a breakthrough weapon here. Coming in at rarity 12 with enormous raw, purple and white sharpness, some more than others. Neutral affinity, not the best, but also not the worst. A really good amount of blast status elemental, and a level 4 and level 3 gem slots. Pre-Fatalis, and not necessarily including some of the siege weapons, which can take a lot more work and RNG, these are the best weapons. They're gonna see you through all the way until the end, so definitely make sure that you get them. I've linked the video for the full Raging Brachydios guide. After you've done the special assignments for Alatreon first, you'll have access to an MR24 event, Dawn of the Death Star or the Evening Star, which rotate for you daily. Dawn of the Death Star being the ice start where you want to take fire weapons, and the Evening Star being the fire start where you want to take ice weapons. I really don't want to go into too much depth here because this definitely warrants a whole standalone video, which again I have already done. As a brief overview, Alatreon has various phases. Its starting element, then over to dragon, and then back over. It's very important that you deal enough elemental damage to breach the threshold and get the elemental topple. Otherwise, the monster's unavoidable attack, Eschaton's Judgment, will one-shot you and your team. During the dragon phase, it's also equally important that you break a horn. This prevents it from switching to the opposite element from ice or fire, instead reverting back to its initial one. And that is essentially how the loop works. Of course, it's a lot more complex than that. It's very difficult. There's a lot going on. Check out the full video for it. Once you're done putting down the avatar of monsters, you'll be rewarded with your Alatreon parts. Using these, you can craft up the Alatreon Beta Plus armor set, which is massively slept on. Coming in at 800 total unupgraded defense, not max, but still not bad. All round excellent elemental resistances, so you don't really need to worry about that, with some interesting set bonus skills of elemental conversion and all elemental resistance. Pretty funky skills skills for when you're using elemental weapons. The first increasing your weapon's elemental damage based on the amount of your armor's elemental, and the second just further boosting your armor's elemental resistances. The skills on this thing are such a great blend of attack and defense, with level 6 attack boost, level 4 resentment, 3 defense, 3 health boost, 3 dragon resistance, and 1 critical eye. I understand it gets overshadowed by armor like the Safi set or like the Raging Brachy set, but this truly is phenomenal in its own right. I took full Alatreon armor to the Fatalis fight, and it really served me well. The weapons are actually crafted at rarity 11, but only really reach their potential at rarity 12, so that's the only thing you should really consider. Once upgraded, they come in at decent raw, not the best, a massive amount of purple sharpness, some weapons more than others, neutral affinity, we're neither happy nor sad about that, and an enormous amount of dragon elemental, with low elder seal and 2 level 2 gem slots, as well as some of the most unique, sickest weapon designs in the game. Whilst raw is indeed king in world, with that much dragon elemental, you can do some pretty crazy things with these weapons too. Highly situational, highly matchup dependent, not as many use cases as we'd like, but still pretty dope. If you're interested in Alatreon Gear, which you should be, I highly recommend you watch my full dedicated video on it, which goes into much greater depth for the whole fight. For these last two, you're likely already in full Fatalis gear, which I haven't included in this video because it's not really kind of like an optional event. You're gonna end up there. That's what you need to get. The Distant Dark Tide is an MR100 event in Coral Highlands up against an Arch-Tempered Namiel. This one's quite disappointing. It's not really a super monster like the Arch-Tempered Velkhana is. It's just a stronger Tempered Namiel, really. By sticking close to the head and front legs, you'll be able to avoid most of the water blasts and cannons. Be mindful of standing in the water puddles. She will shift them along the place and of course explode them with electricity. Keep damage out on the head, tenderize the parts where possible, and of course go for wall bangs when it's not enraged. This really doesn't need much more than that, honestly. You'll get to MR100, you'll try it, and you'll be like, are you for real? And once you're done getting zapped and clapped, you'll be rewarded with your Namiel parts, but more importantly, with your Namiel tickets. Using these tickets and other bits and pieces, you're able to craft the Namiel Gamma Plus set. Breaking the previous unupgraded maximum defense of 850, these come in at 880 total defense, with a decent spread of elemental resistances, but we're not too keen on the fire or dragon. With the familiar set bonuses from previous Namiel gear, element acceleration and true element acceleration. Unlocking any free element on a weapon without having to actually slot the skills can be really useful when used alongside Tarith weapons. A pretty decent spread of skills focusing on evasion and stamina, with 4 constitution, 4 evade window, 3 marathon runner, 3 stamina surge, 3 evade extender, 2 recovery speed, 2 water attack, 2 thunder attack, 1 blight resist, and 1 tool specialist. And some of the sickest looking armor in the game. I mean, look at this drip, it is fresh. Sadly, it's really not going to trump Fatalis gear, which you probably already got at this stage, but it's pretty sick anyway. The Place Where Winter Sleeps is an MR100 event in the Elder's Recess up against an Arch-Tempered Velkhana. This one, unlike the Namiel, really is living up to the Arch-Tempered name. It is a crazy fight. Think of this as a super Velkhana. It's definitely as hard, if not harder than Fatalis, with built-in anti-clutch claw mechanics that'll rip through your rocksteady or your temporal mantles, an onslaught of devastating attacks that will basically one-shot you, and seemingly very few windows to actually deal any damage. You have to carve out your own windows by being highly aggressive, which is really hard when everything is killing you. With Evade Window 5, you'll have a much better time of rolling through attacks and into the ice waves, flipping them into offensive opportunities for you. I really like Sword and Shield as a matchup over here, particularly because of the increased iframes you get from the backstep. That, combined with Evade Window 5, allows me to transform so many of Velkhana's attacks into damage windows for myself. I know others really enjoy Insect Glaive as a great matchup here, but essentially whatever weapon you're most comfortable with is going to be your best shout. Even when you think you've got this in the bag, you've got all 3 carts left, the monster's critical. I have seen full wipes happen time and time again. Don't let up, keep focused, it ain't over till it's over. Once you're done freezing your palicos off, you'll be rewarded with Velkhana tickets. And Research Commission Ticket Pluses as well, which is a lovely bonus. With the monster's parts and the Velkhana tickets, you'll be able to craft the phenomenal Velkhana Gamma Plus armor set. Coming coming in at 900 total unupgraded defense, once more breaking the 850 limit. Fatalis Gear comes in at 900 as well, with the spread of elemental resistances, but we're not super keen on that negative fire. We're already familiar with the critical element and Frostcraft set bonuses on Velkhana Gear, some of the strongest set bonuses in the game. Critical element increasing the elemental damage on your crits, which normally only affects raw damage, and Frostcraft generally giving you around 25 to 30% increased damage for raw and elemental. So strong. The skills are pretty gnarly as well, with 6 ice attack, 3 recovery up, 3 focus, 3 critical draw, 3 peak performance, 3 quick sheath, 3 coalescence, and resuscitate. Absolutely mental gear, which is highly aggressive and will be a viable alternative to Fatalis Gear. Where Fatalis will be a lot more comfy and cozy, Velkhana Gamma will be much more focused on high aggression. Take all of this knowledge and wisdom, get yourselves out there and grab all of this super powerful event gear. What are you most excited for? What pieces have you already made? Let me know in the comments, I would love to hear from you. As mentioned at the start, a massive thank you for really turning up and getting us to around 80% of unsubscribed viewers on the channel, with the majority of you returning from shorts or otherwise. If you enjoy the videos, do subscribe. We're a mature and inclusive community hunting together across different games and platforms. Come and join the Discord, we would love to have you. I also do open lobbies during the live streams on Twitch. I will leave all of these links for you in the description. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you in the new world.